She wasn't the kind of star whose name lit up marquees, but in her own way, Virginia Hill was every bit as famous as the actresses of her time. Known as the Queen of the Mob by newspapers, she lived in a world where Hollywood's glittering lights blurred into the shadows of organized crime. Her story has often been painted with exaggeration and myth, but the reality is still gripping. A tale of ambition, power, dangerous alliances, and a woman who walked a line few dared to approach. Virginia Hill was born in 1916 in Lipscomb, Alabama. Her childhood was far removed from the glamour she would later be associated with. Like many young women of her generation, she wanted something bigger, and Los Angeles offered that dream. She moved west in her late teens, working small jobs, including one as a secretary at a film studio. While her Hollywood career never took off in front of the camera, her beauty and self-confidence opened doors. She had a way of being noticed in rooms filled with powerful men, and that ability would shape the rest of her life. By the 1930s, Hill had established herself as a familiar face in Los Angeles nightlife. She wasn't just lingering at the edges of parties, she was at the center of them. Her connections grew quickly, and soon she was circulating in the same social circles as studio heads, actors, and mobsters who used the city's restaurants and clubs as their offices. In this environment, she met Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, the notorious gangster with a reputation for charm as well as violence. Siegel had moved to California to expand organized crime's influence on the West Coast. He invested in casinos, extorted Hollywood figures, and built connections with studio executives. But beyond his reputation for ruthless business, Siegel had an undeniable charisma. When Virginia met him, the two became an inseparable pair. They were photographed at premieres and spotted in Beverly Hills restaurants. To the public, they looked like a glamorous couple. To those who knew the underworld, they were also a dangerous one. Virginia wasn't just Siegel's companion. She took on roles within his network, sometimes as a courier, moving money across borders, and sometimes as a witness to backroom deals. She was intelligent and resourceful, able to earn the trust of men who trusted very few. Over time, she became one of the few women who could navigate both Hollywood's elite and organized crime's inner circle. It was during this period that rumors began circulating about her reputation for using what she knew to her advantage. Whether it was the whispered gambling debts of a famous actor or the names of businessmen tied to mob-controlled clubs, Virginia was said to hold information that could ruin reputations. And, according to persistent stories, she didn't hesitate to leverage that knowledge for money. These accounts fueled her image as a blackmailer, though Virginia herself denied ever shaking anyone down. Still, the idea that she could expose secrets gave her an aura of danger. In June 1947, everything changed. Bugsy Siegel was assassinated at Virginia's Beverly Hills home while she was in Las Vegas. He was shot multiple times through the window, his death making headlines across the country. The murder was widely believed to be a mob hit, a consequence of financial losses and disputes surrounding Siegel's Las Vegas Flamingo Hotel project. Though Virginia was not implicated in the crime, the killing made it clear that her proximity to power came with grave risks. Without Siegel, she no longer had the same protection she once enjoyed. After Siegel's death, Virginia continued her life, but her name was now firmly tied to organized crime. In 1951, the U.S. Senate's Kefauver Committee summoned her to testify in hearings on organized crime in America. The hearings were televised nationwide, and Virginia's appearance became a media spectacle. Wearing stylish clothes and maintaining her composure, she downplayed her role, insisting she was simply a housewife who had dated the wrong man. Her testimony fascinated viewers, with newspapers framing her as both glamorous and dangerous. While Virginia's words painted her as innocent, the public perception was harder to shake. For many, she remained the woman who had been closest to Siegel, the woman who knew mob secrets. Some believed she had made enemies within the underworld by demanding financial support or by threatening to reveal damaging information. Whether those stories were true or not, they reinforced the sense that Virginia was a woman who lived with knowledge few dared to speak aloud. By the late 1950s and 1960s, her life took a quieter turn. She moved to Europe, settling in Austria. She raised a son, attempted to step away from her notorious reputation, and lived far from the spotlight that had once followed her. Yet she was never entirely free of her past. In 1966, she was found dead near Salzburg. Speculation quickly followed. Some believed she had finally been silenced by those she once knew too well, while others saw her death as the tragic result of years of pressure and isolation. But Virginia Hill's life had always attracted myths, and in death, those myths grew stronger. She became a symbol of the dangerous intersection between Hollywood and the mob, of the price paid by those who lived too close to secrets and power. What makes Virginia's story so enduring is how it complicates the image of women in Hollywood's golden age. She wasn't a movie star, yet she wielded influence in ways that even powerful men respected and feared. She wasn't a mobster, yet she was treated like one of their own. And she wasn't simply a victim of circumstance. She played her role with confidence, navigating a world that offered little room for mistakes. Some see her as a manipulator, others as a survivor. Perhaps she was both. What's certain is that Virginia Hill represents a side of Los Angeles history that often goes untold. The stories happening off-screen, in private clubs, Beverly Hills mansions, and Senate hearings. Her life reminds us that the glamour of Hollywood has always existed alongside shadows, and sometimes the two are impossible to separate.